one of only 2 callers ever to rip 5 Smackoff championships. He is regarded as the greatest of his generation, possibly the greatest to ever do it. Today, he is looking to improve upon that second-place finish last year. End the debate once and for all for Jungle Goat status. He is your 09, your 2011, your 2015, your 2018, your 2019 Smackoff champion. A win today makes him the most decorated caller in Jungle history. He just got the introduction, although he does not need one. He is the B.I.C. Brad in Corona. What's going on, Brad?
Jim, how you doing, baby?
Good, Brad. How are you?
I'm great, man. Thank you. Listen, as the Smackoff champion pro Tim, I want to officially swear myself in here at the beginning of my phone call in case Left hopefully dies in a helicopter crash during his call later. I, Brad in Corona, do I solemnly swear to discharge my duties, a circumcision, so help me Gerb. Hey, speaking of guys who can barely repeat after me, Mark in Boston had a great call earlier where he made fun of me for having pre-canned rebuttals, and then he proceeded to hit Cal in Vegas with a pre-canned rebuttal right before his pre-canned audio. Hey, Mark, if I wanted to hear a poor man's Leffen Laguna, I'd have Rome replay the end of that Vicken no-cal call where he got everybody real excited he was going to hang up and then had a 5-minute monologue starring himself as Rick in Buffalo. Even Caleb in Green Bay had some nice pre-recorded audio in both of his phone calls earlier. Which call are we voting on, Jim? The first one where you hung up on him, or the second one where you felt sorry for him like one of his Tinder dates, called him back because you felt guilty, and waited until he hung up on himself? By the way, if everyone's strategy on how to win one of these things involves copying the dude who won the year before, then I just want to say I look forward to the triumphant return of crank jokes in Smackoff 28. I did love that Cal in Vegas actually stammered his way through his phone call earlier. Cal is basically Rick in Buffalo with no college degree and a speech impediment. Jim, I was on www.whatever.paralympic.org earlier checking out the qualification criteria to get into the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. They list 10 things that would make you eligible. Cal meets 7 of the 10 criteria, and you only need 1 to get in, Jim. Cal, all you got to do now is find a sport you don't suck at. Either that or maybe they'll let you show up and use you as a relay baton. Cal's a tiny guy, Jim. He once got arrested for having child pornography on his cell phone, but the cops had to let him go once they realized it was just a bunch of naked selfies he had on there. Jimmy, I know you said earlier you didn't want all this fat smack up in here, but is health smack the same as fat smack? Because if not, I'd like to announce that Sean Pendergast pulled a Luis in Palmdale earlier this year and lost a leg to diabetes. Sean told us all to lean into our deficiencies during his call earlier today, Jim, and that's pretty hard to do with only 1 leg. I'd say he put up a good fight before he lost it, but we all know that would have involved him doing cardio, so that reminds me, just a heads up to all my people on Twitter, if you ever get a follow from Sean Pendergast, he's probably more interested in your kidneys than your friendship at this point. And speaking of people who would love to harvest your organ, Jimmy, can we talk about how Melissa in West Virginia keeps calling in all hot and bothered and begging you to come over for dinner and then begging you to unbutton your shirt? I'm not trying to be a block here, Rome, but her voice sounds like she might be a little too experienced, if that makes sense. Let me put it like this. She's never been on ESPN, per se, but I get the feeling that lady knows her way around the horn, if you know what I'm talking about, Jim. Hey, I love the Leffen Laguna RSVP call earlier this week where he called into the show and said he had sex with my wife. Lef, don't take this the wrong way, dude, but if my wife were into stupid, floppy-eared things with bad breath and a retractable penis, I'd hook her up with Paul's dog. He's got better smack than you, and he definitely won't be bringing any gimmicks into the bedroom. She'll appreciate that. Just pure doggy style with Paul's dog, Rome. Hey! Final side note, Rome, and this is true. Les was never in that helicopter in 2015, Jim. He took a picture in it, stepped out of it like a coward, and delivered that crappy fourth-place phone call from the runway while he sent Randall and the OC up in the chopper like a Smackoff stunt penis buzzing your studio. God rest Randall's soul, by the way. Anyway, we knew Les was a gimmicky little bitch, but now we know he's also a lying, gimmicky little bitch, and that's the worst kind of bitch, really. Also, kind of convenient that Lef, Randall, and Rich Flores were the only people who knew about this. And Randall, well, Jim, let's just say Randall's watching the Smackoff today with Trapper and Rick's dad. And Jim, 2 out of the 3 of those dudes were likely killed by Lef and Laguna and Rich Flores. You can hear all about it on my new podcast, Clone Killers. My quest to prove Rich Flores and Lef and Laguna killed Randall and the OC and Trapper and Dana Point. Allegedly. Out.
Holy crap, Brad. He is an assassin, literally. There is your 5-time champ.